Hola, boa noite. Let's bring on those beautiful Good Morning Portugal Wine Club ninjas onto the screen. Hello, folks. How are you?
Good evening, viewers.
Hello.
It's time to drink wine. Yay!
Yay!
Thank you who've already joined us this evening. Do shout out in the comments who you are and where you are and what you're drinking, because I think everybody's drinking a different thing tonight, which is no bad thing. We're having a party tonight. We're not necessarily appreciating one particular bottle. We've all got our own bottles in our respective venues, homes there. So starting with Penny in Brixham in Devon in the boudoir there. What have you got, Penny?
Well, I've got a... How do you pronounce Deo? I keep wanting to sing that song.
Dao.
Deo, Deo.
Feel free. But it's Dao, which doesn't have the same ring to it, does it? Think Taoist and Chinese philosophers. Dao De Ching.
Okay, so it's a Maoist Taoist I've got.
The Maoist Taoist, yeah.
It's the 2018. I thought it was a little, but I forgot. I actually ordered this from Majestic last year. So it is actually a manager's choice.
Ooh, I say, got some stickers on it as well.
It's got a little silver sticker, so it must be good. If it's got a silver sticker, it's got to be good.
Yep.
Time will tell. I shall let you know in a minute.
Perfect. I think that's going to be the order of the evening. Just talking about each of the wines we have this evening because of distribution problems, lockdowns, and just a poor choice on my behalf, I suspect. Over to Al Viagra now, to Garbo and Greta. What have you got? What have you guys got there?
Well, we haven't got anything with medals on it, but it's got a nice picture of a flower on it. This is what we've got.
Vigna de Lorenzo.
Nice.
It looks
I know
white.
nothing about it. It's a nice bottle, isn't it? It's a nice little illustration.
Yep.
But I know nothing about it, so it's a bit of a shot in the dark, really.
All right. Okay, well, we'll come back to you with a little bit more background info, i.e., reading the label and your opinion about it. And to Coimbra now. It's like the Eurovision Song Contest. Good evening, Coimbra. How are you?
Good evening. How is everyone doing?
We're doing great. I think we'll find out, won't we, as we loosen up, drink a bit. What you got there, Frank?
We've got this Dão Legares do Cerrado Reserva.
It's a 2019.
Very nice.
And
another.
it sounded very interesting when I picked it up. I liked the label. It was close to the label you had originally put out. You remember that one, the sexy label with black and gold letters and stuff?
Well, this guy.
Yeah, this one. So I thought like it's the closest to that.
Yeah, it's like the devil drinks Prado, isn't it, tonight? I think maybe. We'll see. Aha.
My disco on that one. I like that.
My pleasure. Now, have we all got something from the Dao, if not the same bottle?
We're all down, I think. Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's good. So we're all Taoist tonight. That's a good start. And I'm just trying to find out what's going. Oh, I think I might have sent. No, I haven't sent Doug. Our special guest tonight is lost in cyberspace. So, here he is. He's coming in now. This is perfect timing. Doug joins us as well this evening in a jacket and tie. God bless you, Doug.
Hola.
Hola.
All night.
Hola. How are you, Doug? A special guest.
How are you guys?
We're doing well. Really good. We're really good. And we just decided or discovered, actually, that we've all got a Dao. I think you're in the Douro tonight, yeah? That was the closest you could get. You are in the UK, of course.
Yeah, I've got a Douro or I've got an Alentejano. So which one do I open, guys?
What do you think?
I think at least
It's gotta be-
it's closer to down.
Yes.
Geographically.
Yes. And the mix usually is quite similar, the blend.
Yep. So you were saying what you're glad he's in Portugal wine-wise, but would you care to tell him or advise which to open? Hold on, let's zoom in on Doug's choices. So that's the Douro, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Terra del.
No, that's the Alentejo.
Alentejo.
And this is the Douro. I don't know if you can see the labels very well.
Okay.
The labels aren't coming through very clear, are they?
Entre Quintas. Between the farms, very nice.
Yeah, I've seen it here.
Are you coming on next week, Doug?
Sorry?
Are you joining us next week?
Maybe.
Because I think we're going
Ooh, mystery man.
see how it goes tonight, eh?
Just playing hard to get now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We behave.
So go on, guys. This one's got a cork, the other one's a screw top.
Well, I'm thinking we got
You
a
got-
Duro next week. It would save you having to get another one
Yeah.
Okay.
next week.
All right then. I'll leave the Duro aside and we'll go with the Alentejano then, yeah?
Which is what Joel's recommending, that the Alentejano for a slower night, reflecting the relaxed landscape of Alentejo. Pete says both, obviously. Who also says, Bon dia, you lovely lot. Looking forward to raising a few glasses. Glad you're here tonight. Glad you're here as well, Joel. Excuse me.
So here we go then.
There are
This
many.
is the easy way.
Go on then.
Just open it. Just screw top and
It's in
here
the
we
wrist.
go. I'll let it to you now.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so tonight, because nobody, or not more than two of us have the same wine, we're going to have an individual tasting of each of these, and I think maybe have a little bit of a party tonight. We are this is officially tasting 31, which isn't really a tasting because we haven't all got it. So let's celebrate the fact that we've tasted 30 wines in these last few episodes on screen, and talk about these ones. And I have some questions for you as well, just to get, once we start drinking, you might like to answer these. When did you lose your first question, first wine? What was your first wine that you remember? Whether it be a cheeky Lambrusco or something that the great uncle at a wedding who always makes all the kids drink and have a smoke a cigar. It might have been that one. What's your favorite Portuguese wine? What's your favorite international wine? And what is your favorite fantasy wine? Okay, so if you could drink any wine and taste it, what would that be for number 4? We'll come back to those because we do have this business of the wines in hand here. Pete, what have you got? Joel, I imagine, is on the orange water, literally, the rusty water that he has, that he keeps beneath his desk. For me, the one that was meant to be tonight was this Dao, a great bargain as from Pingados. Doug, you love a bargain at Pingados, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Who doesn't?
And you're going to drive next time so that you can stow loads in there on the way back.
Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, I can never get any wine in a suitcase, or like a bottle at most, and then basically EasyJet are sort of queuing up to give me a £70 bill from a suitcase. So so the only way to do this is to come there in the car. I've got an estate car, and I can really pack it up with some nice Portuguese vinos.
Amazing. But I mean, with Brexit and so on, is it likely or possible that you might get stopped and have to pay a little bit of duty at the other end?
No. Do you know what? We're actually allowed more than we were post Brexit.
Result.
Yeah, we're allowed more. So yeah.
What's that quirk of Brexit? Or did you just
I don't know. Does anybody?
Okay. Well, whether or not that is the law, that's what we're going to go with, right? Okay, fantastic. All right.
Not just wishful thinking.
Well, I don't know. I'm looking at Doug's face trying to work out if that is the deal or not. Just sent Diane down to the cellar to pick one out. I'm imagining a wine. Sandra Marks Webster. Hola, we'll celebrate with my Californian Chardonnay. So yes, we want to hear how your wines are tonight. Have a good old wine in the comments. I was around 5 years old, says Joel, and it was local white wine. That is the Portuguese way, isn't it? All right, so let's pour, shall we, and get our first little bit of sensory input from the wine.
Oh, I like your glass, Penny.
Oh, thank you. Cheers.
And how is it on the hooter, Penny?
Quite strong. Very fruity.
Strong in fruit or strong in alcohol?
I think both, actually. It really does smell strong. It's probably because of the dry January. I'm just a sniff of the wine is enough for me right now.
Yeah, I guess you could reset.
Penny, you have to remember you've been off the wagon for a month, so everything is going to taste strong.
Yeah. Okay.
So how strong is it on the volume? Yours,
I think it's 14%. It's quite strong.
Yeah. Same here.
Can't read. Hang on, it's a binge moment.
13 and a half.
Yeah, I've got 13 here.
13, yeah.
13.
with this one, it's apparently one of the oldest producing families in the Dão region, the União Comercial da Beira. Beira being a region, of course, I think. Mixture, as the usual suspects, Touriga Nacional, Alfrochero, and Tinto Roriz. Frank, did you point out that the Alfrochero is like a AKA for another variety?
Yeah, last week the Doro that I was doing, what they said is the Turiga Franca plays the role of the bouquet, the fragrance. So I suspect the Alfrochero is the one that plays that part because Turiga Nacional is the structure and Tinto Roriz is the spice. So that one would be the perfume or the bouquet.
Oh, thank you for that, Frank. And is that something you've learned through this, through our process here, or is that something you've always known?
Absolutely, no, I haven't known this. It's through the process. It's something that I've figured out. So it's been quite interesting figuring out how what a specific varietal is called over in Portugal, and they've got a similar varietal in Spain as well, like Tempranillo, which is called Aragonés.
Very good. Thank you for that. Right, the Austins, how's it going there?
Well, this is very different. This is very different from probably any other wine that I've tasted because it's got an ingredient in I just cannot fathom. It's nice. Don't get me wrong. It's you can smell it there. It's something floral, but very, very different from any other wine that I've had. Nice fruit.
So it's a bit different because we have got used to this blend, haven't we? Here, the Touriga Nacional making itself its presence felt, I think we can say, and there is a signature that we're getting used to for Portuguese wines. But you're going off piste with that, Gary.
We've got the like you say, the usual suspects. There's Touriga Nacional in there, and there's Tinto Roriz because of the spice. But there's something extra in this, and I cannot figure what it is. It's something woody floral. You can smell it and you can taste it, but it's going to take me time to break down what it is.
Yeah.
What was the flower on the bottle, Gary? Does that give the game away at all?
Ooh, forensic wine tasting.
Don't really know. Can anybody identify what that is?
Hold on, let me zoom in. I don't know. Lilac?
What kind of wood, Gary? Is it oak?
Yes, definitely oak. Definitely an oak in there. It looks
a little bit like an Edelweiss, but I don't know. I doubt it's going to be an Edelweiss in Portugal.
I wouldn't thought so. It's very nice.
Let's let these unfold and unwind in the glass. Rachel and Frank, what are your first impressions? Please remind us what you're drinking there and what you think of it so far.
It's called Lagares do Cerrado. So this wine is not, I don't think it goes in oak barrels, or if it does, the oak is not one. It smells very fruity, berries, and like a Dão wine, it's not full-bodied. It's like a little, but it's very well balanced.
It reminds me of the wine that we had last week, Carl. It reminds me kind of that wine. A little bit complicated, not very heavy tasting. It's definitely not, and doesn't even come close to an Alentejano, but it's a very nice blend.
Yeah, definitely not as full-bodied as an Alentejo or a Douro Superior, but it's very nice and can be served without food. Just a cocktail party kind of thing.
And did you guys get a bargain there?
Oh yeah, the Pingo Poopster bargain. This one was, I think, $4.99. This one was
very good.
It was $9.99 and $4.99. That's one of the reasons why we're privileged to live here. The poopy monsters.
What is it about Pingo Doce and that shelf that suddenly appears and disappears as well? Is it a monthly thing, or do they just try and wrong foot the consumers and just get them into kind of frenzied panic buying?
I think it's to confuse, not consumers, confuse foreigners who are making this their land. It's like every 3 weeks somebody throws a spin around and goes, you know what, we're going to mess this up. Frank is going to come and have a look at the top shelf where stuff goes on the top shelf. I can't find it on the top shelf. Now it's gone on the bottom shelf. And I'm like looking around going, who did this? Why are you doing this? Is this intentional?
Yeah. Yeah, and they've got a new shelf in there, or a set of like an aisle, half an aisle. I've noticed. Have you seen this? Which is Portuguese home cooking aisle, and it's all to do with the lockdown, isn't it? With Portuguese sausage, even the kind of terracotta tableware and ovenware, the whole thing, like a leg of pork with the wooden frame.
Pork ears and pork tail.
Yeah, and that's all happening right now. So I don't understand, but I think it is there to confuse and panic, cause people to panic. But Doug, your first impressions of your brew there, sir?
Really good. I mean, plummy, full of dark fruits. I'll tell you what the great varieties are in it now. You've got something called Tinta Roriz.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you guys? Then you've got the Touriga Franza, and I think that's a grape from France, is it not? And then you've got the Touriga Nacional, which is the one you guys were just talking about. So it's a blend of all those three.
Yeah.
The wine that we did last week from Douro was exactly that blend, Doug.
Yeah. Well, this one's same blend but Alentejo. So I'd like to taste them all, but there you go. No, it's full of fruit. I feel I need a steak to go with it.
Mm-hmm. And is that going to happen? Are you going to suddenly? Okay,
no,
you're not going to whip.
No,
you're not going to whip.
My food has been served. I'm afraid.
All right.
I had my daily dose of pasta.
Doug, what's going on?
Doug, here's a secret. Steak goes with everything.
I know, doesn't it? Absolutely right. Yeah. Go on. What were you asking me, Carl?
What's happening there? You said, I've had my daily dose of pasta, and you turned your nose up. Are you on some sort of regime at the moment?
No, thank God, because I hate pasta. but there's 4 of us living here, and my wife has said, I'm only cooking 1 meal. I'm not cooking 4 meals for 4 people. So if you don't like it, you go hungry.
Wow. Sounds like a barrel. Right. Okay. Everything okay in the Hughes household at the moment?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay,
I could have had beans on toast.
Just thought I'd ask. Okay.
Well, with HP sauce.
Right. No, of course, naturally, which you'll be bringing in the suitcase coming this way. Rather than beans and tea bags and brown sauce on the way out, and then Portuguese wine on the way back in. Fantastic. Joel says, back in the day, where there were garrafon 10 litres available for sale, much cheaper than the ones found in supermarkets, where they were only sold in markets or grocery stores. Yeah, when I first came to Portugal about 13 years ago, I remember buying one of those plastic-covered bottles that had just, an indiscernible local brew. You didn't know what was in it, really, but it was trustworthy, and it was 5 or 10 litres, and that's how it was sold at the local shop, wouldn't you? Just pick up whatever they had. Yep. Good times. Thank you, Joel, for that. Pete's on the 2016 Cabernet Sauvignon from the Napa Valley, rich and fruity, not unlike yourself there, Pete. And Benoit, I have a Dao. We're all Daoists. The Udasa, or Udaka 2016. Hi, Anna Yen in Switzerland. Blend of Touriga, Alfrochero, Tinto Roriz, and Jain. So there's Taoism and Jainism going on tonight, another spiritual path there. What is that? Does anyone recognize the Jean?
Yes, I have read they have this grape in the colder areas here in Portugal, like Serra da Estrela, and even the mountains here around Coimbra, they plant this one.
Oh, good to know. Thank you very much for that, Rachel. That's really, really good to know. I'd not seen that before. Okay, so tell us your impressions, Anna, as well. Okay, so has anyone got an anecdote from their early wine drinking days? What wines did you start off with? Does anyone want to say?
Yeah. It's a little bit like Joel. I was brought up in a house full of sort of, I suppose, part Italian. So we just drank wine as a matter of course as children, but watered down, red wine watered down with our Sunday gorgeous dinners, which my lovely nonna used to make for us. So I was introduced very early.
And do you think that's part of the more responsible and intelligent attitude to drinking that continentals seem to have compared to no?
I soon copied the British way. Don't worry.
But that's because you were in Britain, though, right?
I have to say that my family were great drinkers.
Yeah, but I was doing some research on Porto yesterday, and it was, I think it was a Guardian article or something. You know, they write, you must go to this place, you must go to that place, how much it's going to cost you, and the local etiquette. And the writer put public drunkenness is frowned upon in Porto, which I suspect it is all over Portugal. It's not a good look, and they leave it to the English probably and the Northern Europeans down in the Algarve or whatever to do that. People like Doug, and it's just not part of. You do see the odd guy in the village staggering home, don't you, from an obvious all-day session. But there's none of that edgy drunkenness, and I don't know if it's something to do with that drinking from an early age in a civilized way. But you think not, Penny?
Well, I don't know. I suppose when I think about it, my family were big drinkers, but they were what I would call happy drinkers. They weren't sort of what you see possibly on the, an average Friday evening in some city centre in the UK, where it's like drink as much as you can and fall over and get into a fight type of stuff. It was just happy. They were always happy times with friends, with families. There wasn't, drinking on your own. It was always an occasion. So it was a family meal, a family get together, friends round, and alcohol just went with that nicely. Nice wine, whatever was in hand.
Okay, so thank you for that, Penny. Over to Birmingham then for the earliest memories of wine.
It would have to be something Mum made. She made these strange concoctions out of weird things. Parsnip wine. She made parsnip wine, which was absolutely lethal. You remember the program The Good Life when they made the pea pod wine? It had a similar sort of reaction when people drank it. It was like, and then they went very hot and slept for a long time. Wow. And everybody that had it the same, it was like, it's a bit warm in here, isn't it? Like, and then went to sleep for a couple of hours.
It's a way of controlling the children, isn't it?
I loved it. It was great stuff. It was amazing stuff. That's probably my earliest memory. How about you?
Well, my family weren't wine drinkers, and I think my earliest introduction to wine was when I started going out with my girlfriends, and I was introduced to Liebfraumilch. Like the white wine Liebfraumilch. I think that's my earliest recollection. Yeah.
Does that translate literally as virgin's milk?
I don't know what it means.
I never thought about it.
Woman's love milk, I would have thought that comes out as Lieb, love. Frau, woman. Milk.
Woman's love milk.
Something like that.
Which puts it in an entirely different light, doesn't it? I think Doug wants to talk about Liebfraumilch.
No, I hate the stuff.
Okay.
I mean, everybody used to drink Liebfraumilch in the 80s, didn't they? And we used to think we were ever so sophisticated with a glass of Lieb, you know, to wash down our dinners and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But it was quite weak. There wasn't much potency to it. It was sort of, 8 or 9, 10% at most. Who remembers Hirondelle?
Yep. Well, that's the French offering, isn't it? Into and Piador was the same sort of business coming in from France.
It was equally bad.
J'adore Piador.
J'adore Piador, of course.
Yeah. I know.
These were the early experiments, weren't they, in Europe, realizing that the English were starting to drink something other than beer and gin in the 70s, I think, or maybe sherry or port. I guess they would have known, but this was a fashionable thing, wasn't it? So Hirondelle and Piador from France, Blue Nun, Liebfraumilch from Germany, Black Tower.
Do you remember the advert? Les Français adorent la Piador, but I bet they didn't.
No.
So when you were a kid, you thought they all ate Boursin and drank Piador and drove in a Renault 5 because that's what they had.
Striped shirts with a beret and onions.
Exactly. You just think as you arrive in Calais, that is how everyone's going to be. Amazing. And Mathias Rosé, of course, from Portugal, when the English were starting to drink wine. Incredible. Rachel and Frank, you're from different cultures. What was your introduction to wine?
I'll let Rachel go first, because
So
mine is a bit sinister.
Oh dear.
I think I know the story. You were asking about wine, not good wine, right?
No, first experience, and I doubt for most people that's ever a good one.
So, growing up in Brazil, Brazil for the longest time was not a wine drinking country. It's people drink beer a lot. So now apparently there is good wine from there, but I've never tried, to be honest. So growing up, only in the south of Brazil they made wine, which is the part of Brazil that's a little bit poorer. And there was this wine that came from there called Vinho Canção. Like Joel was saying, it came in a 10-liter jug. And my grandpa always bought it for Christmas. And we were very young, I don't know, but we always drank that during Christmas time, but it was sweet.
Yeah.
And I hate to, like thinking back, I would hate that wine right now. And
Yeah.
it was sweet, and we used to use it to make an even sweeter cocktail because we would use to put it in the blender with fruit and condensed milk. And and that all together. So yeah, it's sad, but that's my
Amazing. A wine smoothie. Superb. There you
I do
go.
remember back in the 70s, because my family, they did drink quite good Italian wine. They used to go into Soho regularly to stock up on the Italian supplies. And when I first started going out as a youngish adult, sort of adult, the only red wine you could get behind the bar was like the roughest, most appalling red wine possible. And I quickly found out that drinking a gallon of that didn't go down very well.
That's right, because decent wine drinking only happened in England in the 80s, didn't it?
Yeah, you couldn't get decent wine. Well, unless you lived in London, you went to Soho for the Italian wine, or you went to some of the wine importers in London.
Yes, and it was the advent of wine bars, wasn't it? That were a specific thing in the 80s. Incredible.
Yates'
Why was that? You think the proximity to France and everything, you'd have access to very good wine, no?
I think it's just a cultural thing back then, Frank.
Yes. So this sinister story, Frank.
Yeah, I used to visit Iran every year with my mom, and I think I might have been around 8 to 10 years old. My cousin, who's a colonel in the military, he had like this huge house, and he used to make his own home concoction, and he used to bury it like in the ground. And 2 or 3 years later, he would like pull it out. And I always insisted, because always in Iran with the red wine, it's because it's a lot of the poets. They've written some of their classics drunk on red wine. So with red wine, what they would do is they would have something like hookah. So they wouldn't allow me to drink the hookah. But whenever my mom wouldn't be around, they would allow me to drink this wine, and it tasted, I don't know, it tasted horrible even at that time. And I was like, I would be waiting for them to give me some of the hookah, like, or if somebody like went to the washroom, I would like try to pick up his hookah, and then I would like to try like some of his wine, and it was just awful. And I always wondered, what are these adults on about? Like, this stuff is no good. What are they doing in their life? And later in life, my first introduction as a 16, 17-year-old was Mateus in Canada. Bought my first bottle for New Year's Eve, took it to a party, and decided to knock the thing down in one shot because I was dared to. and it was not a very good night. I think my date left me.
I think that's the first time you try wine through your nose, isn't it? Those sort of things. The taste of wine in your nostrils. There's such a horrible rite of passage, isn't it? And hopefully a boundary that is created in early adult life. Doug, what about you? Early recollections of wine?
Oh, we used to drink all sorts of wine, but like you said, not until the 80s. And even then, there wasn't a whole host of really good wines around even then. I would say it was the big choices came into the big stores in the 90s, mid-90s even.
Yeah.
Morrison's and Sainsbury's had a good selection. And of course, when I really started taking interest in really good wine, believe it or not, was when they started bringing in Chilean wines from Chile, especially the Cabernet Sauvignons, which was to me one of the Sainsbury's had their own line on it, labeled up as the Sainsbury's wine, just a Sainsbury's Cab Sauv, mid-range wine. It was beautiful, really nice. And I suppose it gave people, such as me, the confidence then to try different ones.
Yes.
But my early recollections of wine in the 70s weren't even worth mentioning, really, because it was all dishwater.
Yeah, or fizzy, right? The Lambrusco or the what are those cheese?
Oh, there was another one. There was a Lambrusco. There was another Pierre Montello. Do you remember Pierre Montello?
Well, if you really wanted to impress a date, $2.99, that one.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You went to a lot of restaurants and they didn't have a great deal of whatever they brought you was going to be quite bad, you know.
Yes.
It's baby sham here, I think.
Baby sham, of course, because that was trying to muscle in. That was cider, wasn't it? Trying to muscle into the champagne market.
I don't know what it was, but I remember that I was going out with a guy who actually became my first husband, and he was rather posh, but he didn't actually know jack shit about wine. And he thought, when you go out, if you're a lady, you only drink baby sham. So I spent about a year just drinking bloody baby sham.
Oh no!
Did
you have one of those special glasses as well?
Yeah, the whole bit, you know. And it's disgusting stuff. It's like sweet and horrible, revolting.
And the baby sham for the girlfriend, please. Very good.
Yes.
The only time I ever saw my mum drunk, and she didn't drink very much, her chosen drink was actually baby sham and barley wine.
Wow.
Now, how lethal was barley wine, for God's sake?
Oh, barley wine was the one.
Oh, come on, Ryan, that's
no.
With baby sham.
Baby sham
I saw
was
it
quite
out of a
weak,
tree.
Yeah.
What is that called?
Black velvet, isn't it? With
no idea.
Champagne and Guinness. Now that's lovely, a black velvet.
Oops. Yeah. Black velvet, yeah.
That's a Peaky Blinders black velvet, I reckon.
Peaky Blinders, isn't it?
Amazing.
I did St. Patrick's night once with about 8 pints of black velvet. It's amazing how you don't get a hangover in the morning on that.
What, for yourself alone?
Mm.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, but she woke up pregnant.
Oh. If I had 8 pints of black velvet, I'd be working for McAlpine in the morning doing the roads.
Okay, let's go see our other friends here, how they getting on. Anna, how is that Udaka or Udasa? 2016, that's going to be a bit more classy, isn't it, with those extra 5 years there. Let us know. Pete, how is the Cabernet Sauvignon or the Cab Sauv, as Doug taught us tonight? Marcos says, a tasty Vidiguera wines. Have we done that? We tried a Vidiguera. I think we have, haven't we?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, Alta wine. There we go. This is Pete's childhood. Alta wine with good old Benedictine. You could put a full stop in there, couldn't you? It could be Alta wine mixed with Benedictine, or it could be all Alta wine with good old Benedictine monks. I think I would rather forget why monks are the same. This is a filthy joke, isn't it? That there's a punchline. There's a punchline waiting to be delivered. Why are monks the same as Scots, though, Pete? And I probably won't be reading that out. Most port wine costs a friendly 111. Is that with a Portuguese dot? That is a comma, not. It's not 111 euros, is it? It's 111,000 euros.
Yeah.
236 at auction,
Yeah.
enough to sell and buy a
You'd be
house.
sipping that.
Wouldn't you just?
Mm.
You'd wait and wait and wait, wouldn't you? And then you'd just be like, okay, not too much. Or it's the one, like when I know some friends in the UK, and he was a malt whiskey collector, and he was a real, sort of toffee-ish posho guy with a massive whiskey collection. And he told me the story of one night when his missus just needed some whiskey to put in whatever, not a trifle, obviously, but some sort of whiskey-based dish. She just went and helped herself to the first thing she could find in his malt collection. Probably, like a 200, 300 quid malt thing. She's poured it in into the recipe because it said whiskey on the bottle. That one was a reserve from 1863 at 111,000 euros. Joel. Hey, look at this. My previous wife's law firm. We've had some interesting lives here, haven't we? People like, oh yeah, my first wife, my second wife, third wife. Joel's
And the wife that serves pasta.
And the wife that serves pasta. It's such a bohemian community. Joel, my previous wife's law firm, had a bill for over 300,000 for just 3 bottles of wine at Ramsay's. Always used to scare me when we went, as they never had any prices on the menu. It's a class thing, that, isn't it? Same with wine, because although us lot didn't have the regular folks of the UK didn't have any wine till the 80s or 70s or whatever, the posh people were drinking port and wine forever, weren't they? It's just part of it's another class divide. Elio Diaz Benoit from Benoit, I should say, not Benoit, Benoit from Manchester. From Elio, good evening to you. Hi everyone. Hi Mum and Dad from Dale. Good evening to you, Dale.
Hi,
Hello,
Dale.
Just referring to Portuguese wines, there are some extravagant prices way beyond this, says Joel, beyond the 111,000 there. Joel, there's an excellent documentary on Netflix about a guy who was in prison for wine fraud. He printed labels from vineyards before they even existed. Oh, I see. So you just get a laser printer and make it up. Let's put 1965 on that. Very good. In the 80s and 90s, wine fraud of port wine in America. They faked labels of port wines with American labeling. It was news back then. I bet it was in Portugal. They were outraged back in Portugal here. What is the best wine port for V-Day? Any recommendations there, folks?
Well, I bought Dale a bottle of port a few weeks back because I don't think he'd ever had port. What was the one we bought him? It was one you could get obviously in Britain, but it was a late bottle vintage port. And I think it's quite nice. I think he quite enjoyed it. But V-Day, what's V-Day? Oh, is that when we get out? Is that when we all get out and happy and right?
Yeah. Let us know, Jeff. Sour Grapes is the name of that Netflix doc or film. Here in Portugal, you can choose if you want expensive bottles or the more accessible, possibly, that is. Pete, my favourite wine, sure Penny must have frequented Polo's in Soho, was Frascati. That seemed ever so special, didn't it?
Yeah, I haven't had Frascati for years.
And that is an Italian white, isn't it? With very crispy.
Yeah.
Just wonderful on a summer evening, playing Gay Straight By or Living with Mum on Old Compton Street.
That sounds a very interesting household, doesn't it, really?
It sounds like an amazing evening as well, doesn't it? I think I'm just going to pop to the shops, but this time I'm going to be gay. And then you go again, and you straight, and then you buy. And all of this accessible from Mum's old flat on the Old Compton Street there. Marvellous part of London. I raise my glass of rusty water. Oh, here we go. To a Portuguese hero that died from COVID. He was and still is the most rewarded Portuguese soldier. Okay, let's do this. Most rewarded Portuguese soldier, Marcelinho do Mata, who must have passed away today.
Marcelinho do Mata.
Yes, it's you, sir. The most decorated Portuguese soldier and casualty of COVID by the sound of it. Oh,
was he a Portuguese version of Captain Tom sort of thing, a renowned hero?
I think you're probably right there, Doug. Yeah. Tell us more, Joel. V-Day is Valentine's Day. So what's the answer to that question then? What is the best wine for Valentine's Day?
It's got to be a bubbly, hasn't it? It's got to be a fizz.
It's got to be champagne. Or that's I want to track down. What is the best Espumante in Portugal? We really need to have this one night. The best Espumante in Portugal.
Debatable.
Well, our Vita Azul was very drinkable, wasn't
Nice.
it?
Oh, yes, you enjoyed that, Carl.
I really did.
The demo was nice.
That was nice. That was good.
Yeah,
Demo.
the demo was nice.
But
But
you
not-
also,
You don't have to pay a lot of money to get a good one in Portugal, do you?
that's the thing, Doug.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, Mrs. M came back with what is it, Freixnet? Because it was on special. And I had quite a visceral reaction to that. I was thinking,
More Spanish.
yeah, we can't be buying that.
What are you doing?
What's she doing? Yeah, I'm almost not going to drink it, but I think I might make an exception. Oh, here she comes now. She's going to come here for I think she's going to grace the screen tonight as well because she's got clothes on for a
Hi,
change.
Louisa.
Well, if you don't drink that, Carl, you'll end up eating pasta every day.
Okay, that's your marital advice, is it, Doug?
Yes.
Oh, God,
Doug is bottom left here.
Yeah, I realised because I.
You know everybody else here by
else.
process of deduction. Well,
Hola.
oh, okay. I'll let Mrs. M talk to you for a minute. What? Oh, she'll have a really good story to tell about her first wine.
What?
What was your first wine?
Probably get out of bed this morning. Like,
No, not when you last drank wine. Yo, what's the first wine you tasted?
I don't remember. The first time I got drunk. Well, it's probably Liebermilch, wasn't it?
Yeah,
mixed with some lemonade. The first time I got drunk, it was just after my second birthday.
After your second birthday? This is
No, first birthday.
No.
Yeah.
You started early.
Yeah, my birthday's just before Christmas, and as in those times, my mum and dad went on a bit of a round robin visiting friends, and I was crawling, and so they were all getting drunk, and then getting in the car and driving off drunk to the next house to get drunk again, and I was basically slowly getting
driving from house to house.
Yeah. And I was slowly getting alcohol poisoning on Christmas Day. And then finally they couldn't work out why I couldn't stand up. And I was like falling all over the place. And
Oh dear.
Brilliant, Louisa. Brilliant.
Oh dear.
And my relationship with alcohol has been quite sort of up and down ever since. I mean, woo, right in it or don't touch it.
So about that wine you had first thing this morning, was that Carl's leftovers?
I didn't have any wine this morning.
I thought I misunderstood then.
No, I said I had a wine at him because
Oh yes,
now I get it.
I remember.
I was trying to get him out of bed so that he could walk the dogs before he went and did his Good Morning Portugal, because otherwise the dogs are like going crazy and I haven't got time to do that.
I just never know where I stand. You're either trying to get me into bed or get me out of bed. It's exhausting.
Speaking of bed, I've got an appointment with 3 little children to have a bit of a reading session. Even Solomon.
I'd so love to join you, but I'm just a bit busy here.
Enjoy that, but I will take one of these.
Okay. Can I have my headphones back as well?
Yeah. How is everyone?
Good,
Fine, thank you.
I did my new moon meditation this evening.
Did you? This is possibly a bit bigger than usual, but Happy New Moon, everybody.
Happy New Year.
What did you meditate on, Penny?
Well, I did some yoga with a guided meditation at the end of it with my yoga teacher. So very nice.
Beautiful.
Sets me up for coming on here afterwards.
Yeah, I like the sort of like balance of looking after yourself with more looking after yourself. I think that's good.
Louisa, that's a very generous Portuguese tasca pour you've got over there.
What this?
Yeah, that's a nice tasca pour. I like that.
Well, I think I'm not going to get much of a time to come back. So I'm just topping up. But anyway, lots of love to you. Cheers, everybody.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Hang on, can I just check? So, Penny, you're in Devon.
Yeah.
Then we've got the
Austin's in Alviagra.
I was about to say that, and I was a bit worried that I might get it wrong. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Austin. And you guys,
Louisa.
now you guys are in Coimbra, right?
Yes.
and you're coming from Wales.
That's I am. I'm Welsh.
Doug, how did you find the wine group?
How they found me. I think this sort of magnetism that happens when all people who are affiliated to a fondness for the old drink come together eventually.
Yeah. I hear you. Right. Go and moan at the kids now. Bye for now.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.
Wine.
See you soon.
Yosh.
Speak soon.
Vizinhos, you said. See you later. Much later.
Can I ask a question, Carl? Can I ask a question out there?
Please.
I want to know what everybody's favourite and probably most memorable wine is. The one that you judge all others by.
Well, I know mine.
Go on, Doug.
Go on, Doug.
And it's such a weird story. I'll not bore you with it. I'll run. We were in Sicily, me and the missus. Beautiful place, isn't it? And we were in a lovely place called Terracini on the piazza there of an evening. And of course, there's loads of restaurants as you find in any piazza, same as in Portugal, really. And we're going along, and we found this beautiful restaurant, and we decided that's where we're going to eat. And I said, well, we'll have a bottle. I didn't ask the price, by the way. I'll have a bottle of something local. Just bring me something local, anything local. And he comes along, and he's presenting, you know how they are. A most magnificent wine of Sicily, grown in a place only just down the road. And he said, you will like this beautiful bottle of vino. You know how they are.
Sorry, Doug, did it come from Wolverhampton?
Something Wolverhampton, not yet. And anyway, he brought us the bottle, and it was a vino. I was going to say Branco, but it's what do they say in Italy? It's Bianco, Vino Bianco.
Yeah.
Local Sicilian job. And he pours it, and absolutely lovely, beautiful. And anyway, at the end of the day, the bill for that bottle of wine was over €100. 2 days later, we went to basically a Portuguese, an Italian equivalent to Intermarché, and you know these cardboard cartons they've got of wine for £2 or €2. We had one of those, and my wife said, "Let's try it for help. If it's crap, we can just pour it down the sink. It's only €2." And you know, it was better than the £100 bottle.
Yeah. I can believe it.
Mamma mia!
Rachel and I, whenever we travel through Italy, Rachel and I call those waiters the smiling assassins. If you were to pass by them the next day, if you were to pass by them, they know they've had you for dinner last night, so they'll give you a very nice smile, and they will give you one of these, like, oh, would you like? And I'm just like, no, I don't like.
What do you call them again? Something assassins.
Smiling assassin, right?
Smiling. Isn't that brilliant? I love it. It's so true.
We know that.
That we paid very expensive for an espresso, and the next day we walked by, and the girl was just like.
She probably charged us like 3 or 4 euros per person for an espresso, but the show before and after was remarkable because she was just like, oh, I make the espresso and I make with love and I do this and I do that. You're just like, you drink the espresso, and the next day, and I was telling Rachel the next day, I'm just like, we were robbed, and we passed by, and I'm just like, look at that smiling assassin.
That is the best thing I've heard in a long time, the smiling assassins, because it just encompasses this thing in a nutshell, doesn't it? Really, I love that. Fantastic.
We know that guy because he's got some nice tight fitting slacks on as well, hasn't he? And a nice crisp white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, and a Juventus tattoo as well. That's my memory of that. Is that accurate, Penny? Or are we being unkind here?
Say, no whoppism here, thank you very much.
Oh, so sorry. So sorry. But you know, the stereotypes kind of exist for a reason, don't they? And I guess it's a sort of imported thing, and it's accentuated, isn't it? When you have a restaurant in the UK and you want to uphold your culture, you kind of overemphasize it, which is probably why there are so many bacon and egg cafes in the Algarve. I don't know.
It's funny in the UK, you go to an Italian restaurant and the guy comes along and he says, and he puts on this amazing Italian. I'm not very good at Italian accent. Says, Mamma mia, I want this and you want that. Oh, and he goes to the kitchen and you just hear him in the distance. He says, "All right there, mate. It's two of them."
My favourite. I mean, I love that. That's such a sweet part of my memories of childhood in London, or being a teenager. Really, the Italian cafes, like a crispy bacon sandwich from the Italian cafe, Frank's. So many of them were called Frank's, weren't they? Probably, what would that be, Francisco, back in the hometown, and they are Frank's in London, and they're pretty much photo fit. You know, you're those bay seating areas, the big gaggia. Steam pipe for the milk, for the coffee, a crispy bacon sandwich or a full-on fry-up. And it must have been heartbreaking to be serving, dirty bacon sandwiches to British people when Italian people can cook such beautiful food. I don't know how they dealt with that aspect of hospitality.
My family, when they first came to London, went to Soho, as a lot of Northern Italians did. And, they lived above what is now Bar Italia, right opposite Ronnie Scott's.
Yes.
I mean, it was mainly an Italian area back then, but there's still the Italian roots in Soho are very, very strong. But I love Bar Italia. I mean, they claim to be so old, but my family were living there before they were there. But they've been there since about 1950 something in Bar Italia. I think something the same family. Which is brilliant. That's
those guys, Penny. That's the guys in the tight black slacks and the white sleeve, white shirt.
And they had their sister restaurant next door. And whenever I go, I just always say, my family used to live upstairs. Oh, free this, free that, free this.
That's worth remembering. Frank, have you got fond memories? Because you worked in the West End of London, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And you would always these same Italian guys used to be the ones front of the line at the end of the night at the nightclubs, and you would see that same Italian waiter hanging out with 2 or 3 beautiful women at the end of the night with the same accent. And as Doug said, he would turn around to the bartender, with a British accent. He'd be like, "So how's it going tonight?"
There you go. Much cred for kudos for you tonight, Penny. How cool are you? Bar Italia is awesome, Penny. In fact, I think I have taken Mrs. M there on a date. You know, when you're out and about in London and you want to come across as somebody who knows London well, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., you can get into Bar Italia, can't you? And have a coffee there and maybe a pastry or something like that. Fantastic. What a place. Yeah, beautiful experience. Anna says the Udasa opened up nicely. Soft tannins, black fruit, tobacco. That's a good tasting note in it. Tobacco, really good value. Thank you for that, Anna. Antonio F has popped in as well. Bonne nuit to us all. Pete liked Mrs. M's answer. Yeah, it was wine with an H that she had this morning. And yes, check your Facebook PMs. We think we've got more on this gentleman. But again, it won't load up for us, unfortunately, Joel. But I can tell you a bit more about this gentleman, I think. No, I can't. I've only got a picture of this really well-decorated soldier, Portuguese soldier. But sadly, I can't get that to open up. But I imagine it will be in the Portugal resident as a tribute as well, given that he's a national legend as well. We're coming up to our time there, folks, of the hour. Pete, how was your brew? You didn't say. And let's go round again. So how has that treated you tonight, Penny, your chosen Dao tonight?
A bit hot under the collar.
And now you need to sleep.
This alcohol. No, it was really, actually, it was very, very warming. It was quite heavy. I would probably have this one with game of some sort, maybe duck, wild duck, maybe boar as well, wild boar.
Get on.
It's very nice. It's quite heavy, but very, very heavy on the fruit. Not heavy on tannin. Good finish, and I do like a good finish.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? We
Little
don't like,
tinker, you little tinker.
we don't like to leave it hanging there, do we? Did you ever answer Gary's question? Gary, what was it? Your kind of top
Just the
wine?
best wine, what you judge all of the wines by, really. Just briefly, that's what I wanted to know. When
Penny,
you figure out your scores for wines, what are you actually basing it on?
You must have a benchmark there, Penny.
Well, do you know, I was thinking about that question earlier, and I suppose, I don't know, I'm knocking on a little bit now. I've had so many great wines over the years. I actually really can't remember. I do remember this Christmas, though, having, sorry about this, everybody else, in Portugal, but I do remember opening a bottle of champagne and thinking, oh, God, this is so lovely. I've been drinking Prosecco all year. This is actually really, really good. So yeah. I'm probably a bit of a champagne girl, I'm afraid.
Champagne, okay, and just like real proper champagne, expensive champagne. That's why you were asking about the best Espumante in Portugal, right?
Yes, yeah.
We look forward to sending you one of those one day, or you being here, even better,
yes,
and sharing all of that. On a hot day, getting towards the end of the day, we can start hearing the cicadas in the distance when we're sat by someone's swimming pool, and we open that up. Won't that be a marvelous moment? Doug, your Dao?
Beautiful wine, and I mean, as the night's gone on and its air's got into it, and it's improved its bit. But again, it'll be with a nice piece of maybe porco preto or something like that, and or a decent steak, like I said earlier. It just needs that savoury something with it.
Yes.
And then now there wouldn't be half a bottle left; it'd be gone.
Okay, thank you, Doug. The Austins, please.
It's gone.
2 glasses better. 2 glasses better has seen to that, I think. Linda?
I had 3 glasses tonight.
Nice. Excellent. That is an accolade.
Well done,
and I hear that Portuguese winemakers are using that standard now. The Linda
on the greater scale. On the greater scale.
You're on the label where it has little sort of logos and things like that, or little icons to show you how dry or sweet or whatever. There's a Linda Austin one now. Did she have 1, 2, 3, or 4 glasses of it?
Hey, Carl, do you know what I reckon we should do? And this is really going back a bit now. Remember Opportunity Knocks when they used to have the clapometer, which like the thing used to go up? I think we should have one of those. And like the more we applaud for a wine, the further it goes up. We should have one of those.
Imagine
you could have the little cockerel moving up and down, the little Portuguese cockerel.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Little Barcella.
Lots of smutty innuendo. Possible with that as well. Fantastic. That should go up and down the screen, shouldn't it, rather than along? I think.
I wasn't going to go there.
We'll talk to our tech team about that. Doug, sorry, Doug, you didn't say what you measure against wine-wise, though.
Oh, good grief!
Good grief!
Sorry, I'm. You're behind.
Your vinicultural
or something?
No, what's your vinicultural benchmark? Gary was asking what's the great wine experience you've had that you measure all other wine tastings against? Was it that one in Italy?
No, I've had great wines I've had so many good wines in Portugal. I mean, the funny thing is, you go to a restaurant in Portugal, a decent little restaurant, and I try and go to the more rustic ones, the family-run restaurants, not the big ones. Yeah. And they know a lot more about Portuguese wine than I do, and everything they serve seems to be excellent. I can go to Pinho Doce or Continente or Intermarché or wherever, and I can pick up a bottle of wine and it'll be rubbish. Mm-hmm. I mean, you go to a restaurant and they bring you out these wines and they've got a little bit of nous so that they know what's good and what isn't. Mm-hmm. And I've had so many good wines in Portugal, and I haven't been able to revisit them because you never make a mental note. What was that wine? Where do you get it from? A lot don't come from shops, do they? They source them direct from the quintas and so on and so forth.
Yes.
I can't think of a benchmark. I've had good wine in a lot of different places.
Yeah. No, I agree with you about that sort of winenesia thing. I can't. I can remember the occasion more than I can remember the taste of a wine. So there'll be special occasions I remember, the memory, the emotional memory of a situation with a wine, but it might not be the same again in a similar situation. So I don't have a kind of sensory memory in that way. More of
a lot is down to the ambience of the place on the night, isn't it?
Absolutely. Hence your €100 versus €2 experience that you had in Italy.
I would have been happy if that was maybe €30. I would have not been moaning.
Yeah, and it would have all been a beautiful evening, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was in a beautiful spot, and I said, I've had a fantastic evening. It was in a beautiful spot. So I've even made a note of this, so I don't forget it. My smiling assassin didn't have it.
Yeah,
I had my pound of flesh, and I had a beautiful evening with my wife.
Yes, excellent. Glad to hear it.
My dad lived in Belgium for many years, and he used to take me out and about in Belgium, and he used to wheel out some really good wines, and he didn't take any shit from anybody in terms of waiters and stuff, and so he introduced me to some really good wines. If I think back to when my poor old dad was alive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same in Italy as it is in Portugal. You can get so much good wine and you don't have to spend the earth.
Indeed, absolutely right. So the Austins, so you asked the question, Gary, what's your benchmark?
Quite easy for me. My wine that was the 5 was in New South Wales in Australia. And we went to a restaurant in Port Nelson, and I remember asking the guy in the restaurant, said, recommend me a good wine. I said, this is a one of those nights that's got to be celebrated. And he said, what you want to be having is this, mate. And he pointed to this thing on it was $46 a bottle, right? And it was a Wolf. Yeah, him as well. And it was a Wolf Blass extra special presidential collection. I've never ever seen it again anywhere, right? But the stuff it's probably the best fun you could have with your clothes on. Yeah. It was absolutely magnificent. It was 5 out of 5. It was the one I judge all of the wines by.
Was it? Why? What was it about it?
It was smooth. It was rich. It was
creamy.
It got a long flavour. It was just beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Was there a bit of ambience going on there as well?
Probably. Yeah. But it's a taste that I shall never forget.
Yeah.
And it's what I judge all of the wines by, to be honest.
You didn't want it to end. No. We were sipping it because we didn't want the glass or the bottle to finish. Yeah. So you kept just sipping it. It was so delicious.
It was brilliant wine.
Oh, you should have had a second bottle.
I'm sure we should have done that. I think he'd only got one.
Why didn't you just buy another one, Gary?
I think he got the one bottle, I think, because it was that expensive,
Oh, God.
Amazing.
We tried to get another bottle. Yeah.
That's a lovely story. And he might still tell that story as well. The 2 Poms who came in and had a lovely evening with the Wolf Blass.
Yeah, bought this wine for $5.99 and he paid me €50.
Well, you see, I got a native Australian with me, so they were never going to rip me off. So I know it was going to be a good wine.
Very good.
And he wouldn't stand for any shit, I'll tell you that now.
Look, sounds like a wild night, Gary and Linda.
Sounds brilliant.
Okay. And like Doug says, my friends, for example, only sell to restaurants and private customers, not supermarkets. That's where we need to go, isn't it? And Anna, I think, is gonna hook us up somehow with her friends so that we can do that tasting one night. And talking of which, Penny has got a real scoop for us next week. You've got the producer coming on to talk to us, right? Fingers crossed. I spoke to her today. She's up for it. She's up for talking to us. So it's just going to be a special occasion next week with your guru, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because there's a lot of parts to this story about the wine and how I found out about the wine and therefore have found out about them and blah blah blah. So
terrific.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Okay, so Doug, you might, if you want to join us next week, get on to I'll give you the contact details.
Superb.
Maybe you
I'll be there. I'll be there. No worries. I've enjoyed it. It's been a quick hour, hasn't it, guys?
Yeah, it takes your mind off. In Coimbra, Rachel and Frank, your wine and your benchmark for tasting it.
My benchmark has always been Chianti Classico. I used to, in London, my roommates were all Italian. And for lunch, we used to usually with pasta, lunch, whatever, we used to do Valpolicella. And for dinner, if it's like with some kind of meat or something nice, it was always Chianti. I was the only Canadian in that house. Everybody else was Italian. Like we had 4 or 5 roommates in the house, and it was always Italian wines. But Chianti Classico we used to get usually on Thursday nights, Friday nights, and Saturday nights. That was the night when we would live it up. So Chianti Classico, drinking in London, buying it from like the small, like those corner shops was absolutely a treat. And the guy would see you coming from a mile away, and he would always know that same Chianti Classico he would sell you.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, great memories. This is all about memories, isn't it? That we're talking about tonight. Rachel, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I just want to say that I actually need to drink more. I don't have my account yet. Yes.
More memories need to be made. Yeah, I think Rachel says she needs to drink more to make more memories. But we can help with it. Yeah,
Can I remind you of an adage? Life is an illusion caused by the lack of wine.
Like that, Doug. Like that.
Yeah, you've earned your place tonight, Doug. Anna is asking Penny, what is the wine for next week? Can you?
God,
I can't remember. I've hidden mine away so Mrs. M doesn't drink it, so I can't.
Mine's over it. I'll get it for
I'll tell you quickly. Talk amongst yourselves.
All right. Well, whilst you're doing that, Pete said his Cabernet Sauvignon is pretty pokey, to be honest. Although I couldn't have taught the child whose parent donated that to us very well. So that's an interesting thing for a teacher, isn't it? You can tell the amount of quality of teaching they think they've received for their child by the quality of the bottle they give you. Oh, hold on. Let's go to Alvagra. Oh, Passagin Reserve. There you go, Anna. Hope you can see that all right.
Good job that's not Barragin. Would it just be water then, wouldn't it?
Like dam, wouldn't it? It'd be a dam.
The dam in a bottle.
That was a lot quicker than me looking it up. Yeah.
There you go.
I get very confused because within Portugal there seem to be wine producers who then produce with other people who are in partnership with other people who own this bit of land who produce this label. And this is one of them. And I'll tell you more about it next week. And Sophia, hopefully she'll be with us. She can talk a little bit. She's coming from the Quinta de la Rosa, which is part and parcel of the Passagin label, which is also part and parcel of the Tonics label.
Yeah. Well, that's why we've got to get to know some producers, isn't it? So that we can get the wine that they recommend rather than what ends up in the supermarkets. Because you can bet your life, can't you? There is some compromise. I mean, although the prices are really good with what we've got, generally speaking, that comes at a cost, if you like, doesn't it? That it's gone through a whole marketing process and maybe a sell-off of some kind. And we want to get a bit further up the food chain, I think, with this, don't we, over the months and years ahead?
I think hence your bargains at Pinot Doce every so often.
Yeah.
It's sort of,
What Portuguese bin ends, they just want to get it shifted and they do a good deal on it. Yeah.
It's got to be, hasn't it? It has to be.
I would think so.
Mind you, there are some good wines done that way, though.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, still, the quality is very high. But we might be missing out on some utter gems that compare well to our favourite experiences that we've shared. Yeah. One thing about this one, I mean, this is perfectly drinkable. It's been nice drinking it tonight. I'd like to go and eat something with it. But what really alarmed me about this is when you see a label that is the same label for a red and a white, and then you've got a composite kind of made up thing for the market, right? Because surely you don't approach the market thinking we'll do a red and a white. You do what's best from what's grown that year, don't you? Right? And call it something specific, like name it after one of your kids or something like that. But this looks to me, like, okay, they like the brand, the market likes the brand. We'll do a red and we'll do a white, like a brother and sister wine, and that'll sit well on the shelves.
How many of you tasted Grush? G-R-O-U-S.
Yeah.
Do you think it's slightly overpriced for what you get?
Depends
Or do you
on what
like
you
it?
have.
We drank Grouse at our friend Alan from Tejo's house, and
Yeah.
he had it resting for like 4 or 5 years or something.
Yes, so that was 2012. So
Yeah.
he had almost for 9 years.
9 years, and we drank that one. It was beautiful. It's
Really good.
not absolutely not overpriced.
We don't
It's
know.
just that he's got like this special thing that he does, and when he says, "I'll lay this down," you sometimes hope that he's not talking about a body. So he's like, laying the wine down.
Yeah.
He's very
Have any of
specific.
you guys been to the Quinta itself?
No.
No.
I just happened upon it when I was traveling around, and me
Wow.
and the missus went to the Quinta, and it was what a beautiful place. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got their own private barrage, which they use to irrigate the wine and everything. It's really elaborate.
Yeah.
And they've set the place out beautiful. They've got a restaurant and all that sort of thing going on. It's a place you need to visit, really, because they've got wines there that you don't generally see in the supermarkets.
Yeah.
We did Vidiguera.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that was what was mentioned before, the Vidiguera. Okay.
Yeah.
We did the Vidiguera wine tour.
And we do have to do that. You're right, Doug, to mention that the wine tourism experience of Portugal, because Luís Pato, not far from me, that was a beautiful day out that we had with them. They invited us as a family to go and help a great pick and put on a beautiful buffet.
Oh, what a beautiful experience that must have been.
It was really amazing. And Rachel and Frank, when you came, we drove up past that other place, didn't we, with all the restaurant nestling in the vineyards. There was this incredible 360-degree view. That's the thing we want to get out and enjoy again here in Portugal. Amazing. Yeah. Good shout, that, Doug. The whole experience. The day out at the Quinta.
Just one thing.
Go
Can
on.
any of you guys tell me what grush means? Is it the Portuguese word for crane or something like that, or what does it mean?
That's on the bottle, isn't it? It's like a picture of a crane or something, isn't it?
No,
Yeah. What does it mean?
Crane is grua. It has nothing
Grua.
to do with it. Grua.
It's called grua. Right.
Crane
Okay.
is grua. Yeah. It's
Oh,
not
it
grua.
is crane, yeah.
Is that the plural? Grush.
Could be plural cranes. Cranes.
Not crane. Crane is grua. The wine is
Oh,
grua.
grua. Okay. Thank you.
All right. It remains a mystery. Or did you nail it there, Rachel? Sorry, I wasn't quite sure. It is or it isn't cranes. You
It's
think?
not.
It's not cranes. Okay. All right.
What does it mean then?
You sounded like Columbo there, Doug. Just one more thing. I thought you were going to solve the entire.
Watch yourself.
Just one more
I
thing.
want to know this for my wife.
I actually don't know what it means.
Okay, Rachel. Well, I think we'll find it. Let's ask Neil Perkins. He might be watching. He might be tempted just to put that on the screen. We shall see. Doug, thank you so much for being our special guest tonight. Been lovely to have your company.
It's been really cool. I've enjoyed it, guys. It's been a really quick hour, or however long.
Please come back, Doug. Come back next week, please.
I will do. I've got another bottle of wine to drink with you guys. It's my birthday tomorrow. I was going to save this for my birthday, but I'll save it to be with you next week.
Oh, that's fantastic. Parabéns in advance to you, Doug. We won't sing it to you because that sounds really badly.
I'm only 21, you know.
We were guessing that. 23 tops.
I'm not saying anything.
I hope you're not offended. Penny, thank you so much for Brixham tonight.
Thank you.
I love Brixham so much. Such a beautiful place. Ray Reardon lives there, doesn't he?
Sorry?
The snooker player Ray Reardon lives in Brixham.
Oh, yes. A few stories about him. Burned cars, insurance jobs.
Oh, I say, you can't say that, Penny. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
As Welsh people, we're not to be trusted.
Doug's allowed to say that.
Or
Only
was that
Penny.
his son? Have I just slurred him?
Oh, no, it gets
On
worse.
YouTube.
Allegedly. The Austins, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a lovely evening again.
It's been great fun. And in Coimbra, Rachel and Frank, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And of course, Anna, Pete, Joel. I still want to call him Safiro. Antonio, all our lovely folks who pop in and say hi, Marcos as well. So thank you all. Sorry if I've missed any of you there. Actually, I'm not going to miss any of you. Sandra, good evening to you, celebrating with the Californian Chardonnay. We don't know how that went down. And Elio Diaz, who was here from Manchester as well, probably raining there as it is in Portugal. And for Dale, of course. Oh, I think, our advice to you, get Fizz that does the biz on Valentine's night, I think, was the collective.
He's definitely in love. He's got love on his mind.
Has he really? Oh,
I think
Dale.
so, yes.
Okay, we need to find out more in the man cave. All right, thank you very much for that bit of inside info. Take care, folks. Ciao, ciao. Bon night.
Good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night.